All right, everybody, welcome back to Beards Daily. So it's funny enough, I actually have a beard story to start tonight out.
Oh, nice. All right.
Last January, I bought a really nice high-end, recommended by my barber, set of trimmers and clippers.
Okay.
Over the last month, on and off for the last month, I thought I was messing it up by not, I would have it plugged in and thought I was charging it. And every time I went to go grab it, it wasn't working. So I thought I had unplugged it or something. Long story short, it's just not working.
All right.
And the funnier story is I think the act of me trying to charge it for the last month has put me outside the 1 year.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I really hate with that.
Right. So you know how we were talking about how that when the mustache gets really long, it gets in your mouth and is really,
yeah.
It's driving me nuts. It's so long. I push it down, you can see.
See that's when the trick I told you about. You gotta, instead of pushing it down, you gotta.
No, I know. Yeah, I do the whole gotta pull to the side thing. But thankfully for Amazon Prime, I will have a new set of clippers here tomorrow.
Nice.
But man, oh man. And I went corded this time. I said, forget the cordless. I've had nothing but problem with cordless. So we're going with the corded.
With the corded one, yeah.
Corded drill this time.
Yes.
Everything off. Next Tuesday should look a lot better.
This is power all the time.
Yeah, this is long. Anyways, yeah, so we always talk a joke that we're talking about facial hair daily, but I actually had a facial hair.
Actually have
had a facial hair.
I was actually thinking, and I've never done this before, but
thinking, yes, I'm aware. I've known you for a long time.
I know.
Never, not one time have I thought
never
about
think. No, but I was thinking about getting beard oil.
I have
just kind of and do natural conditioning instead of just letting it grow as wild as it has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I did the beard oil. I did.
Oh, all right.
I've got my beard brush.
Nice. Yeah. All right.
It's made with the boar's hair, so it's like a stiff.
Okay.
It's not like soft, so it really gets in there. So if I were to brush it out right now, it actually gets poofy than what it is now. And then I've got beard shampoo that's specifically made for beards to try to help keep it hydrated.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot into it. I started doing some research, basically maybe 2 years ago, on how to take care of it. Right now it's so long under here and so short right here that it really neck beards me right now.
Oh my god, that's the one thing I hate, when it starts growing down here long.
Yeah, so you gotta trim. I gotta trim up here, but I'm gonna trim it all down. I like it longer, but my wife likes it shorter. And since I can't see my own face, I let her tell me how long I should make my beard.
Yeah. But that's the little compromises, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I tried that show that you told me about.
Oh yeah. All right.
Hello. Oh my god.
Yes.
The fact that they're all speaking English but can't understand each other is probably the funniest gag I think I've ever seen on TV, ever.
No.
The French, the French guy talking to the English and not being able to understand each other, even though they're both speaking English, is hilarious. And then there's the I don't think she's the leader of the resistance, but she's the resistance.
Oh yeah, Michelle.
Yeah, and she's and she will change her accent, she'll have a French English accent.
English accent.
And then when she goes to talk to the English, she's talking about, hello, blokes, let's go do this. And stuff. It's a total like British English accent. Really funny. Like absolutely funny.
It gets even more ridiculous because then they have another character come in that's British, but he tries to speak very bad broken French.
And it's still in English.
All the words are messed up.
Oh my god. Like the two British guys that first show up, the two British airmen. And he's like, you're 2 days early, and they're like, he wants your watch. That was probably like it legitimately took me like a solid 2 minutes of like watching this going, why can't they understand it? And then it clicked up like, oh my god, one is French speaking French, one is English speaking English.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so funny. So I think I made it to like episode 4, and I feel like I had to take a break. Like I wasn't gonna power through. I think that's gonna be like my show, like when I need a break from all the other shows that I'm powering. I'm actually binge watching Eureka right now.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that freaking show.
Very good show.
Yes.
I think I'm wrapping up season 4, so I think I only have like one, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Really good show.
Also, Warehouse 13.
Is that a spinoff of it?
It's not a spinoff. It is its own show, but they do cross platforms.
Okay, because I know that there was like a small like mini series inside of it where somebody from Warehouse 13 came up. So I'll have to double.
Yes, and then Doug goes over into Warehouse 13 to fix things.
Doug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he just winds up being like after the 1947 series.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Like they all come back and
everything's different and
oh my god, why am I drawing a blank on the main female?
Allison,
thank you. Allison's like, who decorated this office? This is terrible. And he's like, this looks like my perfect office. And then she's like, that's because it is your office. And he's like, say what now? And he literally goes from being like this like super nerdy screwing everything up type person to
super in charge, still screwing everything up type person.
Yes, but also he stands up to the general. He stands for his people, while also still getting things done.
Growth.
There's major growth, which I really appreciated because him just being the comedic relief the whole entire time.
Oh yeah,
wasn't fair necessarily, but at the same time, like you have to have something.
Yeah.
But every episode, like, kind of was getting stale with like, oh, okay, so he breaks something, and then the cop fixes everything, and then we get in next episode. So,
if you do like Eureka, you should definitely check out Warehouse 13 because they're the polar opposite of that spectrum. Where Eureka is like all science, everything.
Yeah.
Warehouse 13 is more.
They said artifacts, right?
Artifacts, essentially items that are infused with certain properties.
Oh, gotcha.
So, like the one of them is the disco ball from Studio 54.
Okay.
Where you just can't stop dancing if you see the disco lights.
Nice.
They have a bunch of different things, and that you are going like, oh yeah, and that makes sense. And it's a really well written show, both of those.
Yeah. I am enjoying. I heard the show. I mean, I guess like 10-ish years, right around there since it's been up. My dog's gonna keep barking. She's like literally over. But like it's a show that I heard about way back when I never watched.
Mhm.
and then it popped up as like a suggested because I watched on the sci-fi shows.
Right. Yeah.
Just,
But yeah. uh, I don't know. I've been like trying to pick up shows, um, just from anywhere and everywhere.
Mhm.
I told you I was rewatching all of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I'm actually watching Allo Allo as well. I'm a little further down the line from you,
Sure you
but
are. I'm sure you are. How many seasons of that is there?
There's like 7 seasons.
Okay. That and the episodes are long. They're not like
no, yeah. They're like 30, 40 minutes
40,
long.
40-ish minutes, yeah. Which is pretty good.
The thing is, like, they had to change up the cast like way down the line because one of the characters passed away.
Oh no! Like the character or the
actual person, the actual actor.
No. Okay.
Yeah. And you can see the main character in LOLO, Rene, the guy that plays him, ended up in an accident. And you can see that he had surgery on his forehead and has now a scar, like I said, later down the line.
Yeah.
Where they, took a few years off for him to heal, and then he can get back into it.
Right.
But he actually wrote a book about being that character.
Yeah.
And how iconic it is. Because I can tell you right now, like, I was playing Forza Horizon 4 just the other night, and they, you can listen to the radio while driving around in the world, right? And they have actual DJs that kind of like make it seem like a real radio.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the DJs goes, "Listen very carefully. I should sell this only once." I'm like, yes! I know what you're talking about.
Oh my god, I get that reference. That's always my favorite. I got it. I understood what you meant by that.
But like, if they're referencing it now, like in a newer game, you have to realize how much of a cult following that actually has.
Oh right, yeah.
In the UK.
Yeah, it has to. There has to be. You're referencing anything from that long in a new. I mean, that's like when Doctor Who back, and it's such a big.
Oh yeah.
Like families gathered to like flock to have party. And Doctor Who watching.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is, like, even like after they rebooted it with Eccleston, later down the line when they had more capital to put into the shows, they were doing like series premieres in theaters.
Yeah.
They were selling tickets so you can go see it on a large screen. I'm like, that's insane. Like, what other show do they do that for?
What is I'm trying to think of that British talk show. Not gonna remember it. But they have a lot of like big names and stuff on the show. And I remember them telling a story about how like somebody had called like a family member during Doctor Who was playing, and like when they called like a couple times, and then when they finally answered the phone, they said, "Doctor Who's on. Why are you calling?" The guy on the other end of the line goes, "Oh my god, I forgot it was that time," and like literally hung up. Like, he was like got mad that he was getting a phone call during Doctor Who, and then once the other guy realized what he was doing, he went, "Oh no, I shouldn't be doing this," and went to sit and watch the show. So
massive social faux pas right there.
Right? Yeah, huge, major social. So
I do believe actually one of the Doctor Who episodes was Tennant and Billy. I forgot her last name. They were at the Olympics, the 2012 Olympics. They traveled forward in time,
right,
to the 2012 Olympics in London. And I'm pretty sure when the Olympics aired, they had Tennant running around during the opening ceremony for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Which is that?
That was like amazing.
Totally like a totally like a British thing to do is to have like a have an episode of Doctor Who that has the Olympics, and then have Doctor Who at it's like
right, yeah.
But
Right.
so a couple things this week has changed.
Oh, yeah.
So I play World of Warcraft.
Uh-huh.
I was the raid leader for the guild. I was raid leader for the guild. And I decided to step down from that role.
All right.
Pass it on to one of the younger guys who been with us for a while. And I'm still guild leader, but got promoted officer. That was a big deal. I've been raid leading for about almost the full length of an expansion, on and off.
All right.
I'm not a very good raid, mostly because I don't have the time to sit down and figure out the fight beforehand.
Okay.
Because I'm a busy man. I have lots of different plates spinning on each stick, and I just didn't have the time to put into it. So I stepped down.
With everything that you've been going through lately, I would imagine like you do have quite a bit going on.
Yeah. I have 4 kids, man. Like that in itself is enough to not have the time to read. But I have a full-time job. I have I call this a part-time hopeful career. On top of that, the house, the homework, the kids at school, and then the dog growling the whole entire time we're sitting here doing a podcast.
I mean, just does not know respect.
No respect. I get no respect. My wife's sitting here playing Animal Crossing, shut the TV off and everything. The dog is just sitting there grumbling. So that was a big deal for me. And funny enough, kind of happened on a joke.
Oh.
So the kid who took over for us, his name is Key. You know him. He plays Among Us with us. He took over, and we were literally in the middle of a raid, and he made a comment about how he asked if he could like call some stuff out for a fight. I said, sure, why don't you just raid? I was like, just do it. And then he jokingly said, okay, I'll raid lead. And I said, perfect. And I like promoted him to officer. I'm like, that was like,
that was it.
That was Wednesday. We raid Wednesday and Thursday. So that was Wednesday. And then at Wednesday, and like literally as we're like raiding and stuff like that, I have the other officers asking me like in whispers, they're like, are you seriously giving up raid lead to Key? Because we're fine with it. If you are, just let us know. And I said, we'll talk about it after. We sat there talking 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, I legitimately think I would just like doing it because I don't want to do it. And it's not that I don't want to play the game. It's not that I don't want to play the game. It's that there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot with it, like having to pay attention. Like I gave up my tanking role because I couldn't focus on being a good. So I switched to DPS because if I'm terrible, there's 14 other DPS to cover for me.
Right, yeah.
So I just sit at the bottom of the charts and take my lumps when people make fun of me, which is fine. So to be fair, DPS the last couple weeks I've been the second on the chart. So
gotta set the record straight here.
I have been the best hunter in the group, and there have been more than one hunter. So
the joke to say, I'm the best hunter. I'm the only hunter, but I am still the best.
Well, the joke used to be that it didn't matter how many hunters were in the group. I was always the third best, and for a while there, I was the only hunter in the group, so I was the third best hunter out of one. So there was that, and then we Oh, so I gave up, like the thank you thing, take time, whatever. I would, yeah, play. And then, so we talked about it, and then literally, I don't want to deal with trying to figure out the fights anymore. Like, and there's just a people aspect that I'm just tired. I'm just not doing it. They're like, okay.
I mean, there comes a point in time where it's like, okay, I've done this, I've had my time, it was good time, but I'm just gonna step back and kill shit while you guys, organize everything,
Right. Like, I can show up to the raid on time. I have to worry about being power. I haven't been doing the invites for a while now, which is something else. One of the officers just started. So I was like, cool, God. Like, I just, it's fine. But let him do it. And it's,
well, yeah.
I mean, he did a great job on Thursday. We're working with him on, he's new to Raid League. He's not new to raiding. Actually was a mythic raider for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of just like the nuances of what he's figuring, but whatever.
So you're gonna hate me for this.
Sure.
You know that I used to play WoW as well.
Yeah.
I actually played with you and Carl for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've done only one raid in my whole history of playing WoW.
So
and I played from BC up until past Pandaria, past Kata, past.
Was it WAD?
What?
WAD? Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, if you played past Panda, but you didn't, I know you weren't there in Legion.
No, I was there in Legion.
A little bit.
I was at the very start of Legion. Yeah.
So here's the deal. Carl never raided her until I. And then Carl started as a healer, which was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Because Carl has this never-ending rage in him, and he's the opposite.
Yeah.
When he was killing the flying monkeys, that was Carl just being Carl. That wasn't Carl playing a character.
No, I know.
It's just cool. But yeah, so once he's like, I don't like playing a DPS though. Does it play a tank? We can always use a tank. And he did. And he played a DK. And then he played a monk. And then he played a warrior. Not necessarily in order. I think I went warrior, monk, DK actually.
Mm-hmm.
He's all over the place. And then finally he settled on the DK. Now of course he's leveling the monk. But yeah, so Carl had never. I mean, I think he might have done a couple. Like it was more like he played the game to like get gold, and then they would like him and his friends would amass gold, and then they would spend their gold on things but they also like did arenas and PvP. So like that's where his aspect was. I fell in love with raiding in Wrath. It was so much fun. Like doing ICC, new Nax Ramus. I did all of that stuff with the not Crusader. What am I there? Oh, anyways, if I describe the raid to you, you wouldn't know because you've never raided it. So it doesn't help you. But yeah, so there was. I mean, and I did it, and it was fun. I did. Oh, at Old War, so much fun. Nonstop. It was forever.
Doing the dungeons. The dungeons were fun for me.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I did Onyxia raid
Mm-hmm. No,
when I was like
I love Donnie.
way past everything, and I just basically walked in there with one other person and just killed everything in an instant, which was rather interesting because I'm like, wait, it didn't talk yet. Gotta let it talk a little bit, and then it would start catching on.
No, yeah.
The dialogue.
But yeah, so honestly, I think everybody should experience it. It's a lot different than what it used to be. A lot of people didn't like it because you had big groups like 25.
Yeah.
Nowadays with flex rating, you can have any number over 10 is fine. There are the ideal numbers. Like if you have so many, like basically for every healer you have so many DPS to launch it. So like,
right, yeah.
2 tanks, 3 healers, 9 DPS, 9 to 12 DPS, like ideal. So like, in vary size.
Right.
But I think, if you like dungeon, and then the coordination behind it with the groups and stuff like that, I think that rating it's large scale.
Right.
Dungeon.
It's a large scale dungeon. Yeah. No, I get that. The biggest issue was, I think, when I first started doing dungeons and everything else. This was on a PvP server.
Oh yeah.
Let's start there.
Right.
Back in the days of BC on a PvP server.
Yeah. So you got
you had to run.
Yeah. So you got marked everywhere you got.
Oh God. Secondly, I was what was called an aggro king. I would simply stand like exactly where they told me to stand, and I would pull the whole room just by being there. Like, I'm sorry.
So you're one in my world. We like to call somebody with a fat ass because your fat ass pulls everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and my pet used to do so much DPS so quickly that we would pull aggro off of the tank.
Yeah.
Which they didn't like.
No. So a lot of that and honestly, a lot of that stuff's been fixed through time. Like,
right, yeah.
The tanks generate so much threat now that practically it's almost an impracticality for anybody to pull off after the initial like first 5 seconds. Like I've seen some DPS put out some like hitting all their cooldowns at the beginning of a fight and watching the bosses go after them. But after that, after the first couple seconds, pretty steady.
No, yeah. But yeah, I was doing that with a Marks spec.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a Beastmaster or anything else.
Right. Well, and that's the other fun part is trying to figure out like what's the best spec. I play the unrecommended spec because I enjoy it. But
are you survival?
Oh God, no.
That's the unrecommended spec, man.
No, marksman is the recommended spec. And then Beastmaster is second, with survival not even being on the
list. Not even an option.
Oh, it's so gross. Oh, I've seen two survival hunters. Oh my God, where was I was playing on my tank. I think I was with a group of the group of the guild and stuff like that, and we were doing me and one other person, and we were doing dungeons to level up characters.
Sure, yeah.
And we were in a group, and it was me. The guy that I was playing with was a healer, and then there were 2 hunters and like one other DPS. I can't remember off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hunters was survival. And I instantly vote to kick him. Like as soon as I realized he was survival, I vote to kick him, and I just typed in there that he's survival, and literally it passed. he gets kicked out. I said, "Oh my god, I love you guys. That was amazing." And the other hunters said, "Yeah." He goes, "Honestly, I was about to hit the button myself because I realized it was survival about 2 minutes ago." I was like hunters hate survival hunters.
Yeah, there's certain qualities about survival that's fine everywhere else, just not in a dungeon or raid sort of situation.
No, survival hunters are an abomination, and they should not exist. I don't understand why we needed a melee hunter.
No, there's no reason.
I think it's a terrible decision. Survival used to be my favorite spec to play. Because it was trap based explosions.
Yeah.
You had like explosive shot, all the fun things that made everything go boom, boom, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then they said, "No, well, you can't do that from a distance anymore." And I'm like, "Well, and then I'm not going to play you because if I wanted to play a warrior, I would play a warrior."
Right.
That's basically what it is. It's a two-handed, polearm using warrior. With a pet, and that to me is just disgusting.
Yeah,
I have told my people that I will do a stream of me doing tour gas, which is a like a solo dungeon-y type thing, as a survival hunter. And funny enough, I got for weapons this turn around. Instead of getting a weapon, you get a token. And then you get to go pick your weapon.
Sure.
I got the same token 2 weeks in a row, and I can only use one bow. So the other token is still sitting in my bags. I'm going to use it for the polearm for the survival hunter. Back that I will someday, with airplane bags on the standby. So every time I look up and see them playing a survival hunter, I get sick. I hit the bag because it'll be just disgusting. I have told them that I would do that as a stream one time, but that's going to be one where literally for me to be able to walk forward, people are going to have to donate money. It's going to be a lot of rehydration with Gatorade purchases to keep
donate money for alcohol, because that's the only way you can make it through the whole damn thing.
Yeah. And speaking of the stream, I actually had a long stream on Saturday. I did an hour stream.
Yeah, I saw that. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there. I wish I could have. But how did it go?
Dead Rising is a hard game.
Yeah.
I'm currently I put up videos. This is actually so this will be on the YouTube site on Friday. So on Wednesday, I release my video of, and it's a super cut of all the deaths I have in 1 hour.
Oh God!
The video is 20 minutes long of just me dying in 1 hour, and it's not even like the last hour where everything was super hard and I was exhausted and I didn't want to do it anymore. It was like hour 3 where everything was fairly easy, and yet I just kept dying. So, Dead Rising is a hard game.
I keep seeing notes in there on the Discord channels going, "Fuck cultists."
Oh my God, the cultists! I just don't understand. They're literally they have. So first off, I was told that Dead Rising 1 is the hardest of the Dead Rising. So of course I pick a game that I've never played before, and it winds up being the hardest game. Or the hardest of a series of a game.
Right, yeah.
So what the cultists do is, first off, they have like green, almost Scream-like masks, like the movie Scream.
Sure, yeah.
But it's, instead of it being like a scream, it's a smile. So it's like super creepy. They're in yellow rain jackets.
Sure.
And they have a dagger, which the dagger is actually out of the game. It's a hunting knife. Sorry. A hunting knife in the game is very strong. Like, you're able to, like, if I get a hunting knife, I'm able to just walk down the middle of a hallway in the mall and just kill zombies to get them out of my way, instead of having to, hop on the wall and sneak my way by things. I'm just able to walk around.
Right.
It's actually, I would say it's actually stronger than the chainsaw, which you get, and you're just able to mow people down, but it breaks so quickly, or like runs out of gas or whatever so quickly that it, the hunting knife, and you can get a bunch of them. Like some of the zombies are just walking around with hunting knives, and like they all look the same because it's a 2006 game, so there's like
all the skins are the same.
5 different zombies total, just on repeat, and many of them because you're literally in a horde of zombies. So you're able to pick them out, and you're like, walk up to them and like smack them, and they drop their dagger. That's the first thing to do. And then you could just pick it up, and like, my whole entire inventory would be full of hunting knives. So what the cultists do is they go, ah, and then they hold their hunting knife in front of them and then run straight. Now, you could dodge them fairly easily, unless it's like 5 of them and they're coming from all different directions. And every time they hit you with the hunting knife, it takes off 1 of your health. And now you only have 4 to 5 health.
Right.
I think towards the very end, like when I was like level like 11 or 12, I had like 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they're running, they don't like hit you once and then run through you, because it's a 2006 game. They didn't have the ability to just make people run through other people. No, it hits you, knocks you back, hits you again, knocks you, and the whole time you're knocked prone. You can't get up and move. So all of a sudden I would get a cultist charging at me, and it would like boom, 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 and I would die.
Just trample your ass over.
Yeah, and then you go back and then you realize that because there's so few save points, apparently there's a lot more than what I didn't see, because I'm not constantly looking for a bathroom, because the save points are the bathroom.
Yeah.
The other thing the cultists do is sacrifice you.
Oh.
So what you're doing is, as you're fighting, let's say there's a group of, because they're always in groups of like 10 or 20 of them.
Sure.
You're fighting and you're killing like a group of 5 over here. Well, one will come up from behind you and like throw something in your face. And then you're incapacitated and they drag you away. And then you go to a black screen, and then you show up and you're in a box.
What the fuck?
With no clothing except your underoos, no weapons whatsoever. You still have your camera for some god-awful reason. And you're
just to drive home.
And you're in a room, and you're in like a studio of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this like 4 times, and they always had like these 4 items in it. Mm-hmm. There's 2 cardboard boxes that can have practically anything in it. It could be a weapon, it could be food to help, like for your health or whatever. I take that back. There's 5 items. There's 2 step ladders, which you can use as a weapon to beat them with.
Sure, yeah.
And then there is the sacrificial sword. Now, in my head, I'm thinking sacrificial sword's the way to go. The damn thing broke after like 6 swings. So they're not taking very good care of their weaponry.
So it's the sacrificial sword they bought from the mall
toy
store.
The mall store, yeah. The toy store. And then there's like 20 cultists in there. And I never figured out how to get out of that room, because you always wind up dying.
Right.
I think you have to kill them all and then find out what find the path code, because the only way out of the room is via passcode.
Okay.
So I would grab the cardboard box. I would beat a couple of them, because as soon as you get out of the box, 2 of them were automatically alert.
Sure.
So you're facing 2, which is fine. And then you grab the step ladder, and then you start beating them with the step ladder until they don't drop their weapon.
Oh, okay.
Now, if they dropped their weapons, I would have had no problem with getting out there. But the closest I think I got was there was 2 or 3 left, and I had broken all the weapons in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had my fists. And I think I had one of them left. And just as I went to go like take him out, he went, huh. And I think that was at the point, and I'm gonna have to see if I can find it because I definitely want to make sure like that's in one of my videos of my frustration. Is I took my glasses off and I went like this.
I think for this particular stream, you may need to recant the story of Itty Poo.
Oh my god, it was definitely on the same. But I did have funny enough, I did have some donation like things like with Twitch you could buy bits. Yeah. And then you donate the bits to the streamer, and then they get so much money off the bits. And then one of the things I had was like for 500 bits, I would take a shot of sake. I had a little bottle that I had bought from the Korean store down the street, nice. And I literally was like 5, and then somebody just gets on and goes, "Okay, cool, boom, 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 boom." I was like,
"Yeah." That's what I was going on. Okay, I did see somebody take his screen cap, like all the bits bought. And I'm like, oh,
yeah. He was fun. He did say that he's like, listen, I after I realized I did a couple in a row really quickly. He goes, he's like, I decided to spread them out by an hour, and apparently he was like doing like Mythic Keys in World of Warcraft with some of the guildies.
Sure.
And he like at one point like said, hold on a second, I gotta go do something, and it was to jump over to my stream, donate 500 bits because the hour was up, and then I did to take it. But I did do sake because I knew that if I did like hard liquor, like if I said whiskey, I know my friends.
Yeah.
There was no way. Listen,
if you said anything that I would have recognized, you bet your ass I would have been in there.
Yes, you guys would have been. I would have not made it past the second hour of the 8-hour stream, and then for 6 hours, my stream would have just been 6 hours straight of me just drooling and going and like hearing noises in my ear because people are like doing things on my stream, and then I wake up long enough to take another shot.
In all seriousness, I do think we need to do like a stream where we do a drunken board game night through Tabletop Simulator.
I don't disagree. That is definitely that needs to be on the docket because I am really excited. Tabletop Simulator and playing Munchkin. Oh my god! I forgot how much I loved Munchkin.
Either Munchkin or Shay Geek.
Yeah.
Have you played?
I have not played Shay Geek. I have not played that one.
Oh, I wonder if they have it. Do they have Guillotine?
I bet you they do. We can check after this. I can double check.
Yeah.
The only reason I said I would pull it up now, but it's the screen that I'm recording off of right now would pop up everything up. We don't need to see how bad like some of the stuff on my desktop looks right now because it's got. I have the Xbox Live Pass and I downloaded a bunch of games, so they're like all scattered over on the left side of the thing. So. No, there's no coordination on it yet. So.
I think we need to do like next time you do a long stream, like do Tabletop Simulator, and we'll just every hour or two we'll switch a game and go from there.
So one of the streaming communities that with the guy who runs it did he was doing a 24-hour stream while I was doing my 8-hour stream, and he played all 24 different Call of Duties.
Wow.
Every hour he switched to a different one. First off, there's been 24 Call of Duties.
I would have to say, man, I didn't even realize there was that many.
I didn't either, but he did say we're playing Call of Duty and we're switching to a new one every hour. And I don't think he doubled up on it. Maybe he did, but I don't think he did.
Wow.
But yeah, he actually jumped on my channel today because I was supposed to be doing some World of Warcraft quests, but apparently there was World of Warcraft quest.
Just the one?
Just the one. Literally just the one. I thought there was a whole new chain of quests, so I was trying to stream it, but there was one quest. So he popped on my stream while I was doing some other stuff. We were talking about it. I had to be exhausting.
Oh, that's got to be rough. Like, even if you're doing something fun, 24 hours is just a rough time span.
I did a 12-hour when my family was out of town, and I literally did not want to like stream for like 3 days. I did.
Was that when we were playing Valheim, or
yes.
was that a different?
When it was you and Verinax and Fox and everybody were all doing different things, but man, that was exhausting. I mean,
oh yeah,
we got done with that, went to bed. Like I said, my family's out. I think I slept till like 10:30 the next morning. That was rough. I mean, and then I think the difference is because obviously I sit here and play video games for 8 hours. Problem.
Oh yeah.
The difference is that you have to be on and active and actively participating and being with your chat and smiling because and like you have to over accentuate your movements and your frustrations. Like every time I died, it was if I was dying, like in some of the deaths were like, okay, I'm gonna die here, so I'm gonna just see what I can do before I die.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, I died, and like in my heart, that's how I felt. I was like, meh, okay, that sucks. But like I would be like, oh no, another one. Oh god, another death. And you're
so that can be actually a topic that we move into next. Sure. Like, do you feel that you hem things up not ham things up for the stream itself?
Sometimes, but honestly, not a lot, not as much as you might think. Like, I think there's a lot of narration. I think that's the big thing was like, when I first started streaming, I didn't talk. Like when I first started streaming, I didn't show my face, and then and I would just record videos and then I would put music over the videos and throw them up on YouTube. Like that was literally all I did. And then one of my guildies, sheriff, said, he goes, I like to know, like he's like, you should talk in your videos because I like to know like what you're thinking when you're doing this thing.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
So then I started talking a little bit, but I was still like very uncomfortable with doing it. And even now, I still don't feel exactly 100% comfortable with talking, especially if there's nobody there or
right, yeah.
But like today, I found myself. I was like I said, I was streaming my World of Warcraft quest, and I found myself talking like, okay, so we need to do this, and I need to do this, and but you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But basically, in the Maw, you get a special currency. When you die, you drop that currency. You have to go back and pick up your body. Right. Well, I was at a certain point where I was going to die over and over again because there's a penalty for being in the Maw too long.
Okay. Yeah.
The jailer has his eye on you. You get to level 5. You can't heal yourself. You're constantly taking damage. Basically, as a hunter, you can live for a few minutes and then you die.
Right.
And it's not a body run back. It literally just spawns you at a spot. And then you can go find your body to get the currency. It's called Stygia if you want to or not.
Sure.
I outsmarted the Maw today. So I did all my earlier stuff, like all my Maw stuff earlier off stream. And then when I went to go pick up the quest that I was going to stream, it says, hey, go to the mall. So I was already at level 5 when I started the quest. So I was like, oh, this is going to suck.
Right.
So I spent all my currency. So no matter how many times I died, it didn't matter because I wasn't dropping currency. So I said, ha, Ma, take that. So that's what I did. Sorry, my wife's looking for the switch charger. So we were doing the maw, and it didn't matter if I kept dying because I had none of the currency. So I kept talking and people were like, why do you keep dying in the maw? And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't have any of the currency. I've already spent it all today. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, I guess it doesn't. But I kept talking like I was like talking to people, even though nobody was asking me questions. I just kept narrating what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that today, and that was, and then we did a dungeon after that. I was talking my way through the dungeon and making comments like, making fun of Carl, even though Carl wasn't on my stream, and I wasn't in Discord with him, so I was still making fun of him for doing things. But yeah,
I mean, honestly, we all just blame Carl at any point in time.
This is true.
But no, I was just actually curious because I know people. Usually, a trend that I found is people are introverted when they first start because they don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're not used to speaking to essentially a wall.
Right.
So is it something that you found difficult kind of breaking yourself out of that and kind of getting used to it? Or do you think it comes a little more naturally? You just kind of have to get yourself in the right state of mind?
It took a lot. It really did. I was talking to no one for the long time.
Right.
And no matter how many times you read on like the streaming websites or the streaming Reddits or the Twitch, communities or stuff like that, and you're reading through them all, and they all say just keep talking, like even if there's nobody there,
right?
Because eventually somebody will be there. It still took a lot because I felt awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I felt awkward talking when my wife was in the room and I was talking on my stream to nobody. I'm literally talking. There's another person in the room and I'm talking, but I'm not talking to them and I'm not talking to anybody else either. And here I am just having this conversation with myself. And I'm a social worker. I know the signs of schizophrenia. It looked like I was talking to the voices in my head when I was not talking to the voices in my head. But yeah, so that's, it did take a lot. It really did. And still sometimes I'll find myself not talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to be interacting, even though, there's like 5 or 6 people on watching my stream.
Right.
And more than likely it's 1 or 2 of my moderators are sitting there just having it running while they're doing their schoolwork or whatever, because most of my moderators are or it's a couple of my friends that just have it on in the background while they're doing something else, which is fine. I mean, they're helping me out by having the going and helping me get the weirdest thing was probably during this last big stream was people were searching and they found the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they found me because I was one of the people streaming that game.
Okay.
So like I think I got like 5 or 6 new followers on Saturday.
Simply because of that.
Simply because I was playing that game. And I had follower only chat on because I've been spammed before with
right.
So many bad things in the Discord. Twitch was a little less bad, but it was still a lot of spam of like
Right.
come to my channel, and it would be like a list of like all the different. Um, so turning follower chat on was like something I felt like I had to have in place. So like they followed me, and even one guy goes, I said, "Oh, thanks for joining, whatever." He goes, "Well, you had follower chat on, so I didn't have much of a choice because I wanted to comment about the game and what you were doing." But I could. He goes, "So I'm kind of indifferent about you right now, but whatever." And then we had like a long conversation, and then like by the end, he was like, asking me questions, stuff like that. So I felt like maybe we had broken through the indifference and more towards the okay, I enjoy your stream to a point,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it was like me talking to the moderators or people I know and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden there were just like people like who I didn't, and they came in like twos. Like it was like every time one of them like followed me, somebody else also followed me, and then they would like both start asking questions at the same time like about different parts of the game or whatever.
Sure.
And then I found myself like, and first off, oh my god, if I say it one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. I kept saying, "Can I get an F in the chat for such and such survivor that died?" Because I was terrible at getting survivors safe, so they all died. But I kept saying, "Can I get an F in the chat?" And I literally heard myself on my video, like as I'm putting it together. Can I get an F in chat for this? Can I get? I was like, Jesus, dude, knock it off. I was driving me crazy. So, but there was, it was interesting to see new people that I had not. They had no reason to be there outside the fact that I was playing a game that they haven't seen anybody stream in years, and then just like started asking questions and asking how I like. Oh, so do you have any experience playing this game? And the first thing I say is, just so you know, I have no clue what I'm doing. I've already broken all my weapons. I've only gotten 2 survivors to survive to get to the save point. And then one of them I realized after the fact was I died right after that and I forgot to save. So that one didn't even count. And then like, and then some of them were showing up in like hour 7. So I was like already tired and exhausted and was grumpy. So I kept like dying and then getting mad. So, and then the game crashed at like 7.5 hours in.
Oh.
And I was like, thankfully I had just saved. So it wasn't like I lost anything from it. But I was like, somebody was asking like, is it worth buying? And he literally asked that question like 5 minutes later it crashed. I said, I just want you to know that I've been playing this game for 7.5 hours now. And this is the first time it's crashed. Don't want you to think like I wasn't trying to like poo-poo the game for having one crash. One crash in 8 hours, I feel like is pretty good for a game made in 2006.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, no, I mean that's something that I don't think a lot of people, kind of bring to light is you see most of these big Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers and so on and so forth, and they'll tell you stories about how they started and everything, but they don't really tell you of the process of getting to where they are. You kind of have to do a deep dive into their old videos and kind of compare them to what they're doing now. But that's something I always found fascinating. Is like, I don't think you were like that charismatic right off the bat,
No.
and you were. It's something that you get yourself used to. So, to bring in a story, I don't know if you know this, but I used to DJ with Raven.
I didn't know that.
We used to do karaoke nights at bars, and for that you needed to get on the mic. You needed to be boisterous. You needed to like project energy and everything. Like, I don't know. Like I'm a personal sort of adult where I will talk to you when you talk to me. I don't like go out of my way to like be your friend and everything.
Right.
So the first night, I remember this very, very clearly. The first night, he's like, all right, we're going to make the announcements. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, this is, and he hands me a sheet of paper and it's got a short little paragraph written down. And he goes, okay, I'm going to play this music. I'm like, all right, what do you want me to do? And he just shoves a mic in my face. Like, first fucking, like, and I'm like, I could not fucking say a word. So that was not me. That was not my sort of normal thing that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I went there again the next week, and we just kept going and going. And it was to the point where I would walk into that bar, and as soon as I picked up the mic, that was no longer me.
Yeah.
That was just a completely different persona they just tossed out there just for that place.
Right.
And that was an amazing thing because that played on later down the line in my personal life. Like, there was a situation where I had to do public speaking. And, you know, when all eyes are on you, of course, there's a lot of pressure. So you're like, I literally ditched who I actually am off to the side, put on that boisterous DJ voice and went, hey, how's everybody doing? And just kind of like went on with it. And personally, I find it fascinating when you can have that little transformation where it infects your whole life.
Yeah.
Because right now, like you said, you are dealing with a situation where it's no longer something that you have to think about. It just happens. You put yourself like behind the camera, you have your game going, and you start talking. Are you even aware of it when you start doing that? Like, do you consciously do it, or is it just something that happens now?
I do think there is like a wind up to it. So before I used to just like turn on the camera and play a game and occasionally talk.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm like more like active and try to be more, you know, outgoing, interactive during the whole entire process, I do like sit down, like I make sure that like I look as good as, you know, I possibly can, which is not very. You know, I make sure that like, you know, I've got like water, I've got little snacks here and stuff like that. So
Right.
I'm like, you know, I'm prepared for that. I'm going to be here for a little bit. And I used to just like turn on the game, turn on Streamlabs, and just start playing the game. And then when somebody asked me a question, I'd answer it. Now I find myself like my way of getting into it is like as it's coming up and as we're, because apparently now when my stream starts, a 30-second ad plays.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've gotten 4 cents off of ad revenue. Just throwing it out there. Pretty big baller these days.
You really are. Gonna be able to buy that pack of gum soon.
After 12 months, I'll get a pack of gum just from my ad. And then, so then I find myself like introducing my game, like what the plan is. And then that is where like I start that, like my mentality change. Because when I sit down and I'm like, all right, get the game going, get the Streamlabs running, make sure everything looks fine.
Right.
And then like, you know, I have the stream is starting thing up so that you can't like see my screen at the time. And I wait like a minute or two to put everything up. And then when I click off, I'll have the game and I'll be like already in the process of like what I'm getting. I like introduce what I'm going to plan is. And then that's when I'm like, okay, it's time. And I feel like if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't, like, I would still fall into that habit of not saying anything. I would go. And I still find myself doing that. The only I will say that the weird thing is, though, is that while I can do that while I'm on stream, and I clearly don't care because I pull a Carl and I shut my brain off and I just talk for 8 hours straight. And apparently I say put an F in chat a lot for this guy dying. Can we get an F in chat? Like 10,000. When I go and I'm not streaming and I'm going into that video processing, video making, where I pull, like, there's something weird. Basically, when you're affiliate for like your stuff on Twitch is like Twitch exclusive, so like I can't pull it off of Twitch to then put it on right away.
Sure.
So like what I've been trying to do this month is my YouTube has off stream content. So like I'm playing a different game that I'm not playing on stream, off stream,
sure.
recording all that stuff. But I find myself not, like, as I'm like putting the video together and I hear, I'm a dad, I hear my kids in the background, or I'll hear the dog growling for 45 minutes of a podcast, even though she's growling at a thing. I hear that and I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't. So then what do? Shut the audio off. I put an introduction at the beginning saying that this is what we're doing. This is what my plan was. This is why you're not going to hear me talk for the rest of the video. Music.
Right.
And that's a habit I have to break. Because it's like other people said they want to hear me talk on my video too.
Right.
And you're not. And I have to realize that people understand that I have kids. My fucking channel is called TraDad.
Yeah.
The word dad is in my channel. My whole entire brand is the fact that I'm a dad. My tagline is "Go ask your mom," and the currency on my channel is your allowance. Like, obviously, part of me has embraced it, while the video YouTube part of me goes, "This sounds so bad. Why am I doing this?" Like, so like those two sides need to come together and like realize that obviously, like, it needs to be a little bit better. You know, when I'm not working from home and I do this, like the streaming at night and maybe not around the kids as much, or if I'm going to do off stream content, wait till the kids go to bed, or like eventually I'm going to be moving my desk out of the living room because that's where it's at right now. Eventually that's the plan. And then I'll set it up somewhere where I can, it'll quiet. And I won't have to worry about.
At that point, I will buy you one of those on-air signs that light up that you can just.
Dude, you've seen my basement. I have a perfect area in my basement to do all this stuff in.
Yeah.
All my stuff's just in the living room now because I'm at my computer so much during the day because of work.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense. Like, I'm not like, for a while there, it was like my stuff was downstairs in the basement. My wife would be upstairs with the kids, and then it was just too much. Like, it didn't make sense for me not to be present where I might not always be able to interactive with children and be able to help out as I could, but I could at least like
be there,
answer questions, or occasionally glare around the monitor because my kids are like terrified of my look and they go hide in the
dad
corner.
Look. No. I understand the dad look.
Yeah. So no, I've met your dad. You understand that?
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to go there, boy, and this is not a conversation we're having.
We're not taking that trip down memory lane.
Not today. Nope. So, what I need to come to understanding that people know, obviously,
Right.
And they know that things happen in the background of my video because of where I'm recording now. Eventually, I'm gonna set up like that soundproof room with all the cool things behind me, like the fluorescent lights and the
Sure. Something like this,
All right.
this works.
I'm gonna start building a collection of Tamagotchis or something, and we're just gonna have them all hanging out there.
A collection of Tamagotchis, and all of them are starving.
My wife has a Tamagotchi that she bought within the last couple of years. That I'm pretty sure is in a drawer and has died. It's probably pooped itself to death.
Oh God!
So
I remember when those things first came out.
Yeah, we'll just have like some vintage toys that aren't really vintage. They're just like vintage, like new age Furbies. Even though, like, oh my God, dude, the freaking eyes are like LED now. It's creepy.
Oh, that's creepy as hell.
Yeah, they were creepy before.
When they would start talking to you in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
like
just have a
perfectly silence, and then it starts talking, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Thank God I grew up poor and couldn't afford it.
Dude, I don't remember if I don't know if they still do this, but in my high school, the seniors would bequeath an item to the juniors, right? So, what? Because of my hair, I was called
Furby. Yes, I remember.
Amongst other things. So,
amongst other things, I don't know. Listen, I don't know anybody who's called you foreigner in a long time. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, there has been people. There has been people. So therefore, as long as one person still keeps calling me foreign,
you have to keep the accent. Is that why you keep your accent? This is because one person keeps calling you foreign?
One person keeps calling me foreign, so therefore I am foreign. As long as that keeps remaining true.
You've been in this country longer than...
Yeah, exactly.
Most...
But, so I got bequeathed this Furby. And I'm like, sure, why not? I'll take it home. I honestly did not know it had batteries in. First, it was fine, but then like week and a half in of it just being in my house, I come home from school. My mom's like, "Did you leave a radio on or something?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's something talking in your room." I'm like, I don't fucking know what you're talking about. And then in the middle of the night, it would just start talking. And I'm like, "Who the hell are you talking to?" And it goes, "Here?" I'm like, "Oh hell no!"
Well, and then if you had two of them, then they would talk to each other.
Yeah,
and then they would have like a whole entire conversation.
No, I think it was just creepy with it being by itself, it being absolutely quiet and just start talking.
Yeah. Those things were...
say I bequeathed that Furby to the next junior when it came to my turn.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember you to call you Furby. Dude, you used to have pretty poofy hair.
I did. Dude,
to be fair, we all had terrible hair.
We did. But it took, for me especially, it took a fucking long time for it to actually settle down.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, and I just have to say, on the previous podcast, we went over Dungeons and Dragons. I forgot to mention that my very first Dungeons and Dragons session that I had was with you and Spidey.
Really?
Do you remember that?
Oh my god. Hold on. Was that the one that we played at the McDonald's?
Yes.
Oh my god, I did. I remember he kept trying to say there was like he was the DM, and if we're in game, you talk where you're in game, but if you want to say something out of game, you have to give the finger. It was like the most. I'm like, dude, we're at a McDonald's. Like it was a McDonald's I used to work at too, so I knew the employees. Oh my god, yeah, that was when he was at college. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a while ago, but that was my very first experience, and that was
Really?
that's where I got the nickname Rusty.
Yes.
Which stuck forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still talk about Rusty.
Do we still talk about Rusty?
No, you're right. No, I'm thinking. No, we talk about. We talk about your dwarf that wasn't a dwarf.
No. You're talking about Stumps. That was Carl.
Stumps.
That was Carl.
Oh, good. Right.
Yeah. No. I had Clanky.
Remember Clanky. That's who I was thinking about. Clanky.
Yeah.
You're right, dude. You got the nickname Rusty, and that's stuck forever.
For fucking ever. And that was only because of one line that I said. I called you big guy in front of him. And immediately, okay, Rusty. Oh, fuck. That was my very first introduction. Our plan was originally to go to like the public library and just kind of chill there.
Yeah.
But that never worked out. And then for some reason, McDonald's came into mind.
Which is funny because the public library, the McDonald's we were at, the public library.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a Sunday. I don't know, but we only played like that one session.
Yes.
Like that was it. How did you get the freaking D&D bug off of that?
Yeah.
Admittedly terrible session.
No, that was admittedly a terrible session.
Looking back, that was horrific.
It was enough to like pique my interest.
Yeah.
And then we played again at the Hootenanny.
Oh, I missed the Hootenannies. God.
That was fun.
Man.
But and then we
to this day, I just want you guys to know. To this day, I want you guys to know that I did not make out with Sid. Just throwing it out.
Look, man, the hickeys don't lie. I'm just saying.
It was. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did, but it was. Okay, throwing it out.
So
also, what happens at the Hootenanny is supposed to stay at the Hootenanny, but I just threw that business out.
Yeah. So we're gonna delve into that because I feel
now that you mentioned,
need a little more context as to what happened. So this was a gathering of our group like that happened on a yearly event.
It was
and it was like in April or something.
Yeah. And it was cold.
It was cold as hell. And
we're in Ohio. For those that don't know, we're in Ohio, so it was cold. It was like an abnormally cold spring. Like it had not, like the frost had just broken.
Yes.
The ground was still solid.
And we decided to camp outside.
And we decided we were gonna we had scheduled the Hootenanny like a month ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the Hootenanny. And I'm trying to think of how old I was. 16?
No, it was like early April.
No. I'm trying to think of how old I was.
Oh.
I think I was like 16.
Yeah. Yep.
And I had no idea how to put up a tent. Sid was.
You know, Sid did.
Sid had no idea how to put up a tent. And we put the rain thing on so that the windows were open.
Yeah, instead of the other way.
Instead of the other way where the windows would have been closed. And our tent, like we basically were sleeping outside without any, and it was 30
degrees,
40 degrees maybe. The fact that we didn't turn into, and his skinny ass at the time, he weighed what, 95 pounds soaking wet? How the hell he didn't turn into a human popsicle, I will never know. But thank God I was chunky, about as chunky as I am now. And so at least I had some warmth to me. But we were under blankets, and So basically,
He cuddled.
Basically, what
some
happens
bears.
is it was cold.
So the next morning,
We
here's the thing.
we basically wind up like we wake up like snuggling together for warmth under like at least 6 blankets. Like we both had and this was also like when you used to camp, you didn't bring an air mattress. You just slept in a sleeping bag on the ground.
Yeah.
So we had like the sleeping bags underneath us and like 6 blankets stacked on top of us. And we were covered in dew because again, the windows were wide open. Because we were not smart teenagers.
So let me just give you the visual from my perspective. All right.
Never lived this down. It's been 20 years, everybody. 20 years.
Everybody's waking up. I'm leaving my tent, which was put up properly. And here comes you and Sid out of your tent, a little moist in the face because of the dew. And Sid, for some reason, has a bruise right on his neck. And both of you are getting defensive, like really defensive about what happened last night.
Well, the first thing, there was no like, hey, what's that bruise on your neck? It was, oh my God, Rod gave Sid a hickey. There was no work up into the hickey talk. And I was 16 at the time. So it was, I had to be defensive because I was 16 at the time. I was defensive about everything. So,
it was great. It was so good.
Oh my God. The freaking days. They were fun.
To be young and stupid
and sleeping in a tent with the window wide open, like fucking country. It was so cold. We were so cold.
Oh, yes.
That was
fun.
Oh. So anyway,
I was actually surprised, like how much we did get the chance to hang out, even past that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you weren't, but like Sid and Spidey, MJ, they were a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
So, like, while I was a senior in high school, they were in college, and yet we still, like, not constant, like, but this was also right at the beginning of cell phone.
Right.
I mean, cell phones have been around, but this was like right at the beginning of them becoming mass marketed. Like everybody had one in the pocket. Yes. So you like texted and paid out the ass for it because you had to pay per character.
Exactly, and then you would call somebody else's parents' phone.
Yeah.
And
whoa! So I think we're gonna have to wrap up tonight. Did not accidentally call Blaine's dad a bitch. So that was a great evening. Everybody have a great night. Talk to you later.
Yeah, dad face. Right.
Okay, listen. It's not my fault
that I got.
Not my fault. You and your dad sound alike on the phone, and I thought you were being funny.
Oh, yeah, no, it was funny. It's funny now.
I don't think he'd find it funny now if he knew who you were talking to.
No, well,
again,
he doesn't. I don't think he cares anymore.
That was roughly 20 years ago. I'm still pretty sure he would shoot me in the face with a bazooka.
I know for a fact that he still remembers.
I'm sure he does. You get this teenage kid calling you up and calling you a bitch on the phone. Yeah, I'm sure you remember too.
Is this your friend? Yeah. He just called me a bitch. I'm like, he what?
Can't believe I did
that. That was a fun conversation.
I still can't believe I did that. Like, dude, it totally sound. I did not like. This was like, you're right. This was a weird time where like some of us had cell phones, other of us didn't. So
Right.
you called your friend's parents, and I think I had your number in my phone 2 different times. One was your number, one was your dad's number.
Right. I was at the time using my dad's phone number for a while.
Right.
And
then I called to try to talk to you, thinking it was your number, and you were trying to be funny. Only it wasn't you. And I called your dad a bitch.
Oh my god. Good times.
Not one of the funnier moments of my life. And then for like years, I was afraid your dad was going to find out it wasn't and try to kill me.
I do remember I asked you like to pick me up one day, and you're like, "No, you can meet me in this place," and that's it.
That's exactly true. I did make him meet me at like the corner or something. I said, "I'm not going to your house," and you're like, "It'll be fine." Like I don't even think your parents were home.
No, they weren't.
I'm like, yes, like, but that would be my luck is that he would show up, he would say hi to me, I would say hi back, and he'd recognize my voice, do the you, and like start running headlong through like a window to try to get.
Yeah, no.
To be fair, and I don't know how strict your parents were, but you always kind of presented them as like on the stricter side.
They are. They're very much what the term is from the old country.
Yeah.
So they have very I don't want to say conservative, but they're very much by the book.
In the way that conservative used to mean, not what conservative means now.
Yeah.
Like think late 90s conservative, not 2020 conservative.
They're very old school.
Right.
It's like they expect people to show respect to them because they would always show respect to others.
Right.
So, when a 16-year-old kid decides to call you a bitch right off the bat,
and then their son admits that is their friend.
Yes. No. Yeah. It doesn't
things went sideways quick.
Things went sideways, but I mean, and that's the thing. Like they did change with the times. They did ease up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're still, have their ways, and that's perfectly fine.
Right. Absolutely. I don't fault them.
Right.
And I understand the respect thing. Like,
yeah,
show respect, get respect type stuff. And I like I'm the same way, but I think that's where more of my fear of your father came from, though, was that I'm pretty sure that when the next time I talk to you, which I think he wouldn't let you talk to me, like at that time, like at that phone conversation.
Yeah, no. I was not reaching you that night.
I think you had said something like, "Oh my God," like super pissed off, and I was like, cool. This is exactly what I didn't want to do. So yeah. But yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
Good times. Great times. I called your dad a bit.
And for the younger viewers, there's absolutely nothing wrong with like messing with your friends. Just
make sure it's your friends. Make sure it's your friends, folks. If there's one thing that you can take away from this is that I did not give Sid a hickey.
I mean, that's definitely up for debate.
There's literally nothing else you guys need to know. The whole entire podcast is... I'm literally naming this podcast as Brad did not give Sid a hickey. He can't stop me because I do the videos. Which, by the way, this whole entire video is getting dubbed over with music. I'm taking all the audio off because
just see our mouths flapping and just elevated music throughout.
And it's the free music that I get off of audio, the YouTube music library. So it's literally just some. To be fair, not terrible music, but
no, I don't think it's terrible. I do think it's decent.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, free.
Right.
It's free. You get what you pay for.
The little cut that I have for the intros and the outros of all the videos I do now, I did cut out like a chunk of a free video that started really slow, but like had like a really good section in it. And I stole that little section. It's like a 15-second little section I do enjoy using. Because a lot of the popular YouTube channels have consistent like intro outro music for all their. I was like, well, I mean, it works for them, so I'm gonna find something that I like that works for me, and
right.
There we go.
So, okay. So I get a question. We're about to enter the boomer territory. How do you think music will progress? We're speaking of music. So how do you think going forward music will progress?
Like in like what will be popular, or what's your clarify a little bit?
Here's my biggest worry. Like we're starting to see a resurgence of certain songs, but only in sampled form. Like there's a lot of artists out there today that will just sample a piece of old track,
right,
and use it and call it a remix or whatever, call it a brand new thing when it's not. Do you honestly think? Do you think yourself that this trend will continue, or do you think that we are running out of original music?
Well, first off, let me start by saying that I don't mind the sampling a little bit. Actually, I was trying to think of. I was listening to a song when I'm walking through the grocery store, and I have on headphones. My favorite thing to listen to is Evan.
Okay.
It's totally awkward.
Shopping music.
And I totally do like the hand gesturing and stuff like that while I'm listening. Because now I wear a mask and people can't, they see me singing, but I don't care because they're not able to read my lips. They can see my mask going in and out quickly when I'm attempting to rap terribly.
When you're doing Rap God.
Oh God, nobody Rap God. I'm surprised I'm but I can't look it up on my phone because my kids are using the Spotify because they're bed. But there's a song that he has where he does the sample, where it's an older song of his and it's mixed with another song, and that song was stuck in my head for like hours tonight. But I enjoy it, so I don't mind the sample. I will say that. Do I think that's going to be a continuing trend? I think it's going to be. I don't think we've run out of. Say, because I think there's almost an infinite amount of ways you can combine music. It might not all sound good, but there is fine. I kind of lean on the more of I think it's like an homage to older music by bringing a little bit of that older music into newer music. And like making it work inside like the song. I don't see it's a bad thing. I hope it sticks around for a little bit longer, but not forever. Like I don't want to be like 20 years from now hearing them sampling Rap God into another song, which then is then sampled into another song with Rap God, and it's all just basically me putting together a supercut of how many times I die in an hour in Dead Rising. Exactly. But in music form. So there is that. But I also like wonder if how does 2020 play into all that? So there was I was reading a story about, and this is kind of bringing us back to video games a little bit. I was reading a story about video games and movies and how we need to understand that in 2020 things didn't move as fast as they were supposed to, for obvious reasons. And that some of the more popular games that that were expected to come out this year, most of them have already been pushed back. We need to be, as a community of gamers, be understanding of that. Right. Take World of Warcraft. Shadowlands was supposed to drop in September.
You don't they usually like between November and December, like during Christmas?
That was the thing. It was supposed to drop in like August, September. It didn't drop until December. Because they had to push it back because of slow progress with. And I think it's going to hit every aspect of like the entertainment world. Movies have obviously already been pushed back.
Yeah.
The big movie this weekend was, oh man, it like made like $8.5 million. Like that was the box office breaker. Made $8.5 million. $8.5 million was the top movie on a premiere week.
Like, which is not much at all.
Which is if you didn't make 4 times that amount, you basically were called a dud off the bat.
Right.
It was some anime movie. It wasn't a Tom and Jerry movie, but some other movie. Something.
The Disney movie.
Raja or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Which I didn't even know was dropping, so that tells you how little. But my curiosity is music going to be affected like that? Because a lot of these guys, a lot of these big artists, like or I'll pick any major country star, rap star, R&B, pop,
rock, alternative. Yeah,
they have studios in their home.
That is true.
Which is why Eminem dropped out of nowhere numerous CDs, albums. I call them CDs, but they dropped numerous albums towards the end of last year. He was in his house putting out music, recording music, and then would just, instead of like saying, "Hey, go buy my music," he would just release them on Spotify.
Right.
Huge, like full length album with some of the great music, and he would just be like, "Oh, there it is. It's out there now. Next, let's do another one." And he did like 2 or 3 at the end of last year, where he just boom, 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 dropped them. There was another one dropped in January. I didn't even realize. I just found it. So I'm kind of back and forth. Like, can we expect that from other artists, where they're just going to be like, do the big artists benefit from the fact that they've been stuck in their house by stuck in their house? I mean, been stuck on not leaving the country because that's probably the only limitation they've had.
Right. And just kind of stuck in having the only
being stuck there and
but
not
they can do is
right. Yeah. One of their major, like not having to go on tour, not having to do. Now they could just stay home and creative and put out music, pump it out. Or are we going to have a lag where maybe some of the not so big artists that don't have studios in their home weren't able to get out to, they have the songs written, but they don't have them recorded yet. And that's kind of where are we going to have like an influx of these artists are putting out, and that's all on the radio, is these certain artists. Right. And then over the next year or so, are we going to have like the other artists start showing up because they can finally put their music to tape? Again, way older. A tape, folks, used to be a little square thing. Only Rant will understand what we're talking about.
Screw you. I actually saw a meme where it had a cassette and a pencil, and they're like, only people over the certain age will know how these two go together.
Right, right. So yeah, that's that's kind of where I'm at. Like with music, I think, but then again, I don't just sit there and listen to the radio because I don't go anywhere. The only radio I would listen to is in the
Is in the
car.
car. Yeah, yeah. No, I fully understand that. I
So.
really, really do. And that was like my source of like, hey, I wonder what's popular. I wonder what's new, that sort of thing.
Right.
Because after a while, like I would lose track of certain artists that I would like, and when you switch over to a different genre or a different artist, you kind of forget about the old one, and you just keep. Personally, I just keep hopping from one to another to another.
That's what I do too.
And by the time I get back to the first one, they released like 3 albums. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And you start the process all over again. So doing kind of like listening to the radio in my car on my way to work would be my source of information of new music.
Right.
But now I'm working from home.
Right.
I don't have to leave the house and don't often leave the house because there's no need.
Right.
And so I lost kind of touch with what is going on. And it surprises me to hear certain songs and I'm like, oh yeah, that's an old song. I haven't heard that in a while. And then it goes into something completely different. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened?
Where did that song come from? Right.
Yeah.
And then your whole entire world gets screwed up once you're into satellite radio.
Yeah, it's satellite radio. Okay.
I don't think when I drive, we have satellite radio on one of the cars. I don't think I turn it off of music that played. Cool.
Right.
So yeah, then you're really just on the point. Again, to the same music.
Right. And oh my God. So that's the thing. Like certain movies will start playing the songs that we know. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids will go, oh yeah, I know this song. It's from this movie. I'm like, no, child. You have to understand this song came about 20 years before this movie.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the kids did a movie song. I was like,
one of them was so when Thor Ragnarok came out, and they put in Led Zeppelin in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the biggest thing. Like, yeah, this is a great song. And I'm like, you have no idea.
Right. You tell them to get the let out.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, man. Yeah, kids. They say the darndest thing.
But again, we do have to forgive them because they correlate things from the perspective that they know. So
right.
If you don't show them to begin with, they're not going to understand later down the line.
Right.
So
I do think it's funny that we occasionally get our kids stuck on things that we used to like. Kids love the movie Good Burger.
Nice. Keenan and Kel.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did find that, I want to say like 2 months ago. I saw it on one of the streaming channels and I just had to watch it.
Like, yeah. It's
we fucking love this thing. Are you serious?
I'm trying to think. I think they did all that for a little bit. Like, so basically like the Nickelodeon stuff that,
right.
We got. So yeah.
And so I don't know if you know, they rebooted the Animaniacs.
I've heard it. I've heard that they did, but I haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it myself. I do want to try and find where it is. but they also did Rocko's Modern Life on Netflix. They did a movie of it of like 30 years later.
Did they keep in the fact that he was a sex worker or sex phone worker?
They modernized him. But basically
He was already modern. That's why he was Rocko's Modern Life.
Right, but the thing is, like, so I guess they ended up in space in the very last episode that they aired,
Nice.
and the story goes is they finally landed back after X amount of years, and now you have cell phones and all of this, and everything's different, right?
Yeah.
It was interesting. Not the same as I remember it, but
Sure.
again,
Sure. Well, I think Netflix did that with a lot of movies. I think didn't they just recently do a Phineas and Ferb?
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was another cartoon that all of a sudden there was a new movie. Not for the life of me remember what it was. But yeah, there was another one that was not too long ago that I was kind of flicking through the kids channel movies, and I was like, I don't remember there being that. And then I like looked it up, and it was like within the last couple of years. I was like,
so
what?
Within the last couple of years, there was another show that I held near and dear to my heart when I was a kid. Do you remember Reboot?
Yes, I've heard of it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't grow up with cable, so I didn't get to see a lot of fun.
So Reboot was a show that was completely CGI.
Okay.
That took place in what's called mainframe.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they had the Guardian, Bob, that will go into games and defeat the users in order for that sector to not be completely destroyed and so on. Anyway, the story progressed and got really interesting, and it went far and beyond what it was supposed to be, and it ended. And I was sad. So a couple of years ago, I was looking through Netflix and I saw Reboot Rise of the Guardians. And I'm like, wait, what? And I started watching it, and it was live action. I'm like, okay, so this is obviously not the same Reboot.
Right.
And like third episode in, they teleport into mainframe and everything's CGI. I'm like, that is it.
Nice.
Like, I was so happy because they're bringing in the next generation into the same show that I actually loved, and it was actually decent.
So what you're saying is that Reboot got a reboot?
Reboot got a reboot, yes.
And that's the show tonight, folks. Ending on a dad joke.
Oh, God.
But, all right, well, thanks for hanging out, Boyan. I think we need to wrap up. Maybe this episode's gonna be Verinax. We didn't even bring up at all over the 2 hours that
Verinax is gone.
So Verinax is on vacation. He literally tried to put things together so that he could be
but unfortunately the ocean interfered.
The ocean interfered. Apparently it's raining so bad that cutting out coach. Which is sad. I'm sad for him. But
that's
as they say in show business, the show must go on, and break a leg or something.
Yeah, of course.
So so we are we're going to wrap up. They said we're almost hour 2. Very late at night for me. Very late for you.
Yes.
So we're going to call it a podcast episode.
Call it a podcast, yes.
6?
Yeah.
Getting lost in my episode already.
Episode
6.
So before we end the podcast, do we have any closing statements? I know we missed this on the last podcast.
Closing statement. Well, Your Honor, I did not give Sid a hickey. That's all I'm saying. It did not happen. I don't know if he slept on a rock. I don't know. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he did. But that's on him.
You were just there in very close proximity. That's all you know.
It was cold. I will admit that we snuggled. I will not admit to hickeyism.
Hickeyism.
Yeah. How about you? Any closing statements from you, sir? This is your third episode in a row.
This is my third episode in a row.
At this point, you have been in half of our episodes. I don't think you're a special guest anymore.
I mean, I'm a reoccurring character, I guess.
Yeah. So the Boyan story arc eventually is either you're going to be like Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec, where you're just so good that they kept you around for the whole entire series, or your story arc is eventually going to flame out, and we're just going to cut you out completely and not explain where you went. You're just going to be gone.
Like, hey guys, is the podcast on?
No. we changed it to Monday. Sorry, you missed it. Why do I see you guys in the podcast channel?
That's a glitch, man. You need to like restart your Discord or something. That's not us. So, no, but actually, I'm very happy that you guys have had me on. It's been a whole lot of fun, and I do hope that you guys and your viewers do enjoy having me around, because I know I tend to derail things.
Honestly, the whole entire podcast should just be called Derailed. Oh my god, did I just come up with the name for the podcast?
What was that?
Derailed.
Derailed. I mean, that's catchy. I like that.
Verinax. I think we named the podcast together. Verinax, I think we named the podcast without you, buddy. I'm gonna have to YouTube or Google Derailed if there's any podcast.
Oh, just make sure it's not NSFW. We're not going to go into that.
But all right, guys. Let's call it a night. We will be back next week with more facial hair daily.
Facial hair daily.
I like how we call it daily, but it's a weekly podcast.
Hey, shh! Don't you don't have to tell me.
Nobody needs to know what's going on.
Right.
So, but yeah. All right. And I am TraDad, and he is.
I am Boyan.
And we are the TraDad Gaming Network Podcast, maybe new name Derailed. All right, everybody have a great night.
Night.